Hello! I'm wearing my coat because it is so cold inside. I am Isobel Ripley. I am a fertility awareness educator and a fertility awareness method mastery practitioner in training. Hopefully by the time this comes out and I figure out how to edit YouTube videos, then I will be certified as a practitioner in using the fertility awareness method as a tool to understand your menstrual cycle as a fifth vital sign of your overall health. And it is my mission to show up regularly on these menstrual Mondays to join you in your mission to create regularity within your menstrual cycles. Maybe you are trying to get to the root cause of a condition. Maybe you think you have PCOS. You're wondering, do I have something going on with my thyroid? You're on this journey, and it is a beautiful journey, and it is sometimes hard and confusing. And it's my commitment to you to help you to do some of the hard work, for you, not for you to do the hard work, me to do the hard work in sifting through what are the trends with menstrual cycle health and hormone health. And I am going to take each of those things and dig a little deeper, look at actually the research, look at the studies, also reflect from my own practice as a hormone health coach and my own experience with a very complex cycle at times in my life, and give you some clarity and some empowerment in knowing what choices to make. So with all that said, today we're talking about magnesium. Magnesium is a micronutrient and it is very common. We see it in health food shops all the time. We see it on the back of packets claiming to be a miracle cure for PMS. And we know that it's good for our overall health, but how is it helpful for our menstrual cycle health and fertility, specifically with certain challenges that you might be experiencing? We're going to talk about what is it, where can we find it naturally in our food sources, why, in which instances would we want to supplement with it, dosages, things to look out for, different types, because yes, there are many different types of magnesium and she is not always nice to our gut. Oh no, let me tell you that straight off the bat. So without further ado, let us get into it. Magnesium. She's a micronutrient. She is a mineral. So found in huge abundance in our beautiful planet, in the sea, in rocks, in the bones of all creatures, in our bodies. And she is essential for so many of our systems and processes in the body. You'll often see magnesium sold as a kind of sleep aid or for muscle recovery, and that is certainly one of the areas in which she thrives, but also menstrual cycle health. She has a lot of different roles. She is busy in our reproductive health. Magnesium activates over 600 enzymes. Enzymes are essentially proteins in the body which are responsible for chemical reactions. So these chemical reactions, some of them build up substances in the body and some of them break down substances. So to clarify why this is so important, take for instance its involvement in the production of vitamin D in the body. Magnesium is so involved in this process that it has been shown that even just by increasing your magnesium intake, you are at a lower risk for vitamin D deficiency. She plays a role in ovulation, in the production of progesterone in our luteal phase, and in the process of the breaking down and shedding of the endometrium lining during menstruation. So, therefore, she is out and about, needed, playing a role in every single phase of our cycle. Let me just say and put it out there, I'm probably going to say this in every video, but it is important, that There is no magic pill, magic supplement for any menstrual cycle challenge. All nutrients work together in this complex, beautiful, nuanced dance together to literally work and to function. They're not separate individuals, even though I am taking the liberty of completely extracting magnesium as an individual in this video. But actually, the reality is magnesium is completely intertwined with all of the other minerals and vitamins in the body. So above all, focusing on creating healthy, balanced diet where we are getting as many of these micronutrients from our food as possible is the ideal, okay? However, sadly, over the last 50 years, we have seen a decline in the soil content of magnesium of around 80%. So the fruits and vegetables that are globally that are being produced have a much lower magnesium content than they used to. Recent estimates have shown that in America alone, around half of the population are deficient in magnesium. And when you separate out just the women, it's around 67% are deficient in magnesium. So it really begs the question, is it possible to reach our requirements just through diet alone? From a menstrual cycle and fertility perspective, I would say if you are struggling with anything, including delayed ovulation, irregular ovulation, meaning irregular, long, changeable cycle length, PCOS, PMS, painful periods, then, which is many of us, then I would say magnesium is a really great place to start in terms of nourishing your body a little bit more. Some have even theorized that the actual cause of PMS often comes down to a magnesium deficiency, because if you remember, I was talking about how important magnesium is in so many of the processes of the body. If that kind of fundamental layer is not there, then we're struggling with vitamin D absorption, we're struggling with vitamin A absorption, many other things. So it's very likely that many of us are deficient. Where can we start? Well, in our food, it is found in its highest concentrations in order: seaweed, green leafy vegetables, a variety of nuts and seeds, including Brazil nuts, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, cashews, almonds, cocoa powder, and chocolate. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Bone broth, oysters, tuna, and also a variety of green herbs, things like dill, parsley, basil, chives, coriander. I think I've said all of them. Let me just check. Sage. Okay, we want to reduce the amount of processed foods that we are eating because, as I said, magnesium content has reduced by a lot, and then that small amount that is remaining during the food processing process, it gets reduced even further. So whole foods where possible. And in terms of dark chocolate, you have probably heard the rumors where people will say, if you are craving chocolate in your luteal phase, that means you're deficient in magnesium. Is this true? Yeah, probably. It probably is, because you probably are deficient in magnesium, because so many of us are. About 100 grams equals to 200 micrograms of mag, and 200 micrograms is the suggested daily requirement. So you'd have to eat like a bar of chocolate every day to reach that amount. Okay, so let's hone in now on PMS firstly. So why would we want to supplement with magnesium to help us with our pesky premenstrual symptoms? So mag is so vital in the production of progesterone, our main luteal phase hormone. And when we have low levels of progesterone in relation to estrogen, then we are much more likely to be experiencing PMS. You can tell if you have low progesterone levels by counting the days of your luteal phase, from your first temperature rise until your next period. We are aiming for around a 12-day luteal phase, and anything less than that signifies a low progesterone level. If you're experiencing PMS, then you're almost certainly experiencing low progesterone. So that's also another way of knowing. Magnesium is also doing her bit with our sleep. Hormone regulation needs a regulated circadian rhythm, which is our sleep-waking cycles. The two rhythms, the monthly menstrual cycle rhythm called the infradian rhythm and the day-night waking sleeping cycle called the circadian rhythm, the two rhythms co-regulate each other. So when one is off, the other is likely to be off, and vice versa. So magnesium is going to help us to get that quality of sleep, which is just generally going to allow us to produce our hormones in the right amount and to downregulate our hormones, upregulate whatever is needed. Okay. Also, magnesium is so intrinsic. Is that the right word? So important when it comes to our regulation of our stress response. And there is this well-known phenomenon in the scientific community called the magnesium stress vicious cycle. That's literally what they call it. You can look it up on Google Scholar. And it's been very well studied into this interesting relationship between our magnesium levels and our cortisol levels. So it's thought that back in the day, right, when stress was much more acute, meaning that we would experience one very stressful event quite irregularly. So for example, the classic example, we needed to run away from a bear or a tiger, right? And so we would get this surge in our stress response, our fight or flight would kick in, and we would be able to do what we needed to do in order to run away. In order for that correct, healthy stress mechanism to function, the body it still does, the body kind of dumps out its magnesium as that stress response is happening. So our magnesium levels go down because I'm saying she now, literally just because I don't want to say the word magnesium one more time. Our darling magnesium, she is so effective in calming us down that we don't want her when we are having to have the adrenaline and have the cortisol and do the thing. And that was a very helpful mechanism, because then, okay, our magnesium levels would be low, but we would be back in our safe environment and we would have a few days of downtime and low stress levels where we could build up our magnesium by eating all of our leafy greens, which were rich in magnesium from the soil. Whereas now, unfortunately, or whatever, let's not make a judgment, it is how it is. The world we live in is less of the acute stress and more of the chronic low-level stresses more often of the time. So what's happening now is that our bodies are still doing this magnesium dumping situation so that we can deal with the stress, but we're not getting a chance to build back up. And low levels of magnesium mean more stress, and more stress means low levels of magnesium. So that is this vicious cycle that we're talking about. Sorry about that beeping. That's also hopefully a motivator for you in terms of why you might want to consider supplementation.
Also, just popping back in because I turned my camera off and then remembered something I forgot to say is that you can't test for magnesium deficiency because it's found inside your cells. So it's not going to show up in your blood serum levels, in a hair test, or in a urine test. Only way to really know if you're deficient is to increase your intake and then to see if any of your symptoms change.
Moving on to PCOS. So PCOS is often characterized by long, irregular cycles, meaning delayed, irregular ovulation. With PCOS, something we're needing to consider is insulin resistance. Magnesium can help us to sensitize again to that insulin, which is important to help us maintain regular blood sugar levels, which is vital for hormonal balance. And finally, period pain. Magnesium influences the contractions of the uterus during our period, and it has an anti-inflammatory effect on the smooth muscle, which enables our endometrium lining to come out in a smooth and calm way, and also can reduce our levels of prostaglandins. We need prostaglandins, but we don't want too many. And so magnesium can inhibit the overproduction of those, and so smooth out, depain, declutter the uterus during that period phase. So it can help with both mid-cycle pain and premenstrual pain, as well as period pain. And finally, the bit we've all been waiting for. Okay, I'm sold on that I could benefit from taking a magnesium supplement, but which one should I take? What should I look for? What should I avoid? And let's talk dosing as well. The form of magnesium is very important. There are a few different types, and unfortunately, some manufacturers will prioritize profit over quality, and so they may choose the form that is cheaper for them to produce. So that's something to consider always with supplementation. Forms that you will find of magnesium: glycinate, malate, citrate, oxide, and sulfate are the main 5 you'll see. I would avoid going for a supplement which just says generally magnesium, because you don't know which form it is. Magnesium glycinate is one of my faves because she is joined with the amino acid glycine, which has insulin sensitizing properties. So go for mag glycinate if you are dealing with PCOS or dealing with period pain. Go for magnesium citrate if you require a kind of faster transit time. So essentially meaning if you're struggling with constipation or IBS, then perhaps going for the citrate. Magnesium glycinate's also great, and malate I also recommend. Those 3 are known to be best absorbed by the body and also softer on the gut. I don't recommend magnesium oxide or sulfate unless you require a laxative effect. Maybe, meaning it might make you poop. Is magnesium safe for long-term supplementation? Yes, she is. Caveat: if you are experiencing a kidney disease, then I would consult a practitioner in terms of any supplementation. But generally, long-term mag supplementation is considered safe. Dosage-wise, generally a capsule will be around either 100 micrograms or 200. A general dose for general maintenance of the menstrual cycle would be between 200 to 400 micrograms every day. If you're dealing with PMS symptoms, what you could do is supplement 200 to 400 for the follicular phase of your cycle, and then in your luteal phase, you could up the dose to between 400 to 800 micrograms, depending on the severity of your PMS symptoms. And then similarly, if you're dealing with period pain, 200 to 400 every day of your cycle, and then upping that during the most painful days of your period to 400 to 800. Always best to take it after food. And finally, If you do really struggle with digestive issues or magnesium supplementation is giving you gut irritation or something like that, then there is also the option to take in magnesium through your skin. So you can get a topical magnesium spray or ointment or cream that you can rub into your skin daily. You can also take Epsom salt baths. So Epsom salt is magnesium chloride. And if you soak regularly once a week in an Epsom salt bath, that's really going to help you up your magnesium intake. However, it's hard to know kind of how much we are taking in through that route, but it's a really great option for if you're struggling with the supplementation. And even if you are doing supplementation, absolutely no harm in boosting yourself with a little spray, ointment, bath. You can even make your own magnesium spray by purchasing the Epsom salts, getting a little spray bottle, dissolving the salts in some warm water, and then when that's cooled, putting it in your spray bottle, and voila, DIY magnesium spray. I hope this has helped to clarify to you the different types of magnesium, what might be helpful for you in your particular situation, some of the mythology around magnesium, dark chocolate and soil depletion, and that you feel empowered to make a choice about whether magnesium is right for you. You can find all the references and studies I refer to probably down there somewhere. I'll find a way of doing that so that you can do your own study and be your own coach. And you can get in touch with me if you're interested in learning more about optimizing your fertility and menstrual cycle health, getting some individual support, learning natural birth control method, and I will see you in the next video. Please like and subscribe. Please share this with a friend. It really helps, especially at the beginning of my YouTube journey. And I will see you next week. Much love.